Do you still remember Nikita Mazepin, the billionaire son who ventured into Formula One with very limited success? Well, he's back in the news again, talking about his treatment by the sport, his former team, and the public. And what does he blame for his downfall? Cancel culture. Stay tuned to find out what he's been saying about his former colleagues, and how he's connected to Putin, and what exactly happened for him to get the boot. First up, the way there. Before we jump into his controversial behavior, let's have a look at his racing resume. After all, we only know him because of his time in Formula One, and he must have done something to get there, right? Mazepin's junior racing record isn't as bad as you might think. Sure, he didn't win any titles like many of his other drivers on the grid, but he did eventually see some results. Between 2014 and 17, his highest placed finish in a season was 10th. That's not terrible, but normally you have to do a little more than that to grab the attention of any Formula One teams. In 2018, though, he came runner-up in the GP3 series, and in that year, he even won 2 more races than the eventual champion, Antoine Hubert. That's not a bad effort at all, especially considering that he was racing strong, up-and-coming drivers like Callum Aylett. So Nikita got his first taste of success and moved on to come third at the F3 Asian Championship. But unfortunately, in that same year, he came 18th in the Formula 2 Championship. F2 is viewed by many as an important stepping stone. 12 of the 16 winners of F2 since it was created in 2006 have gone to compete in Formula 1, but drivers like Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Carlos Sainz all skipped F2 as well. So Mazepin is still in good company. Not all paths to Formula 1 are the same, and so some people were keeping an open mind until they saw him on the track. Next, paving a way. Nikita has had some mixed results in the junior categories, but thought he was ready for Formula 1. But who was going to take him? He wasn't part of any junior driver program, and so there was no natural team for him to promote to. Instead, his father Dmitry made a deal with the American Haas team. Dmitry is a billionaire Russian businessman who owns the Uralkali fertilizer company, and in 2021, Uralkali became the title sponsor for the Haas team. The car was given a fresh coat of paint that looked suspiciously similar to the Russian flag, and there were some big changes made. The biggest of those was the driver lineup. Instead of Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean, who had been with the team for years, it was announced that Nikita Mazepin would be driving alongside Mick Schumacher. As you can tell by the name, Schumacher is a part of a pretty important family in motorsport. He's the son of 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher, and it seems like he's inherited some of his driving talents. Nikita struggled to keep up with Michael throughout the 2021 season, and was constantly complaining about the performance of the car. For team boss Guenther Steiner, this was a headache that he had to put up with. The team needed the sponsorship money from Dmitry and Nikita's place in the team, and it was just a crucial part of that deal. It must have been nice having a supportive father who can fund all of your passions. Most of us are lucky to get sports equipment, let alone a Formula 1 seat. Why does Nikita think that he was unfairly cancelled? And how does he manage to anger fans before even getting into a Formula 1 car? Don't go anywhere, because all this information is coming right up. Now on to pre-arrival. Before Mazepin even arrived, he was already making waves. Some footage of him assaulting a young woman in a car was posted online, and Nikita was forced to apologize. Already, he was starting off on the wrong foot with a lot of Formula 1 fans. They thought that he hadn't earned the right to be there and was just another rich boy trying to buy his way into success. His off-track antics really didn't help his image either. Being a billionaire's son with very little former success, he was always going to be branded with the moniker pay driver. But pay drivers come in all shapes and sizes. Lance Stroll is a pay driver who almost everyone in Formula 1 now agrees deserves to be there. And going way back to some F1 legends, it can be argued that Niki Lauda was a pay driver. He bought his way into the March team to become a driver for the team. Lauda is considered to be one of the greatest drivers of all time and went on to win 3 world championships. Now, we're not comparing Nikita to Nikki, although they do share half of a first name. It's just to say that a pay driver doesn't equal a bad driver. But in Nikita's case, it was clear that he had some work to do. He gained the unfortunate nickname of Massa's Spin for his tendency to lose control of his car on the track. He seemed to take it in good spirits though, and even shared a joke about the name with Haas boss Guenther Steiner, but he also had a short fuse with his team. In an episode of the Netflix docuseries Drive to Survive, Steiner had to tell Mazepin off for yelling at his team. A billionaire's son is ungrateful? Oh, whoa, so shocking. Up next, banished. So Mazepin made it into Formula 1. It was a dream come true, but it wasn't enough. He wanted to win and become a champion. Even though this dream was far from reality, at least he was in the sport, but all of that was thrown into doubt after Russia invaded Ukraine in February of this year. And because Formula 1 is such an international sport, they were hit with some consequences too. Many countries announced sanctions and asset freezes of Russian businesses and individuals. The Russian Grand Prix was cancelled. Ferrari pulled their sponsorship deal with Russian company Kaspersky, and Haas did the same with Uralkali. This left Nikita stranded without sponsorship money and trying to cling to his spot in Formula 1. He tried to bargain with Haas, but it was decided that it would be best for Nikita to leave the team. It was before preseason testing had started and teams were still organizing everything for the beginning of the season, so there was plenty of time to replace him. Fan favorite and ex-Haas man Kevin Magnussen stepped in and immediately put some of the best performances of his career on. But Nikita had to watch from the sidelines like everybody else, and he wasn't happy about it. Now, he said that cancel cancel culture was to blame for his exit from Formula One. In an interview with BBC, Nikita said, "If you look at the whole situation that's happening against athletes in the general case, it's a culture against my country. Normally people are canceled for controversial opinions or relationships. So was it just the fact that Nikita is Russian?" And finally, deep ties. Nikita might think it's unfair, but Haas has made a pretty logical choice to cut ties with him and his father. Apart from the economic sanctions that would have made the sponsorship complicated, there were deeper worries. Dmitry Mazepin has been described as a member of the closest circle of Vladimir Putin and was part of an emergency meeting called shortly after the invasion of Ukraine. And because of these ties, Dmitry was singled out and sanctioned by the European Union not long after his son was kicked out of Formula One. Dmitry's money and connections got his son into the sport, but unfortunately, they also helped him get expelled from it. It's very unlikely that we're going to see Nikita back in Formula One anytime soon, unless sanctions are lifted and some deals are made. It looks like many countries and organizations are taking a stand against Russia. After the invasion, the Ukrainian Automotive Federation called on the FIA to ban Russian drivers from competing in their events. This would follow similar action that other sports had taken. In many international sports now, the use of Russian flags or representing the country at all is banned. However, some athletes are still allowed to compete under an international status. Nikita was willing to abide by these conditions and stay in the sport, but his problems were larger than the country he was from. His father is closely connected to the man who caused the invasion, and Nikita's entire F1 career was bankrolled by him. In the end, there just weren't enough arguments for him to stay. Do you think that Nikita was cancelled from Formula One, or did he lose his seat because of his father's sponsorship deal? Let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.